What if the junk in your garage could become the most beautiful part of your garden? In this video, we're taking ordinary trash, like old tin cans, burlap, broken cutting boards, and transforming them into gorgeous garden fences you'd swear came from a storybook village in southern France. Welcome to Backyard Fortune, where we believe every garden deserves a touch of magic and meaning. Don't forget, timestamps are available so you can jump to the ideas that fit your space. And hey, if you've got questions or want to share your own upcycle project, drop a comment, we'd love to hear from you. One, clay roof tile layer fence. In a quiet corner of the world, where mornings arrive with golden light and the scent of rosemary floats in the breeze, there lies a garden like no other. At first glance, it feels like stepping into a dream, but look closer, and you'll see it's built from things most would simply discard. These curved clay roof tiles, once part of an old cottage long forgotten, have been gently reclaimed by the earth and given a second life. Stacked with intention, not perfection, they rest upon one another like scales of a sleeping dragon. Their earthy reds and sun-baked oranges glow softly beneath the morning sun, creating a wall that is not just a fence, but a living sculpture. Between the folds of terracotta, nature weaves its way back. Strawberry plants peek from the shadows, their tiny fruits hanging like rubies in secret alcoves. Rosemary and thyme emerge from the cracks, offering both fragrance and function. Some sections have moss growing wild, kissed by dew, softening every line and adding texture only time can paint. It's beautiful, yes, but also wonderfully practical. This kind of garden fence doesn't require perfection. In fact, its charm lies in its rough edges and imperfect lines. You don't need a carpenter's hand, only a gardener's heart. To create something similar, start by collecting old roof tiles from a renovation site or a local demolition yard. Choose ones with curves, as they naturally form little pockets, perfect for nesting herbs or trailing strawberries. Stack them in a way that feels right, gently sloped, layered, zigzagged, or circular, just like in the photos you see here. Leave space for the plants to breathe. Let wildflowers find their place. Don't be afraid of a little moss or rust. This is a fence that celebrates time, not resists it. If you're working with a small patio, you can create a curved raised bed using just a few dozen tiles. If you have more space, let the structure grow organically across your garden. It's more than fencing, it's a canvas where light, life, and memory meet. And most importantly, it feeds you. Not just with strawberries and herbs, but with joy. Because every morning when you walk past it, barefoot, coffee in hand, and see a fresh berry sparkling in the sun, you'll remember. You didn't buy this. You built it. From something once thrown away. Two, rustic and flower fence. There's something deeply poetic about giving old things a new purpose. A forgotten can, once discarded after a meal or a rainy day's paint job, now dangles proudly on a wooden fence, cradling a handful of lavender or a cluster of strawberries kissed by the sun. In this quiet garden, the fences speak not just of function, but of memory and care. Rows of rusty tin cans, some left bare, others lovingly painted with fading florals or soft pastel hues, hang like bells along wooden slats. Their surfaces are dappled with rust and time, yet they shimmer when morning light touches them, as if the past itself were blooming again. Inside each can, a tiny miracle grows. Mint and oregano spill from the rims in fragrant waves. Pansies smile with their soft velvet petals. Strawberries dangle, ripe and red, drawing bees that hum in delight. It's a patchwork of color, scent, and usefulness, practical yet profoundly beautiful. What makes this fence so enchanting is its simplicity. You don't need a studio, a workshop, or perfection. Just cans. The kind you'd normally toss into the recycling bin. Give them a rinse. Punch a few drainage holes. Wrap a string or twist a bit of wire. Hang them up along any fence or wall you have. Fill them with soil, and the rest will come alive with patience and sunlight. The beauty lies in the contrast, the hard texture of weathered metal paired with the softness of living plants. It tells a story that nothing is too small or too broken to be of use again. That beauty can grow from rust, from repetition, from rhythm. And when you walk past this fence in the afternoon, maybe brushing your hand across the basil, maybe plucking a strawberry warmed by the sun, you'll feel it, that this isn't just decoration. It's devotion. It's a garden that breathes in your rhythm and gives back in joy. This fence is not only charming, it feeds you, heals you, and gently reminds you that in the hands of someone who still dreams, even a rusty old can has a second chance at becoming magical. Three, brick and bloom border wall. Sometimes, the most soulful gardens begin not with new tools or fancy materials, but with what we already have, stacked, imperfect, and full of life. Here, in a humble yet enchanted corner of the earth, old clay bricks have found a second chance. Some are cracked, some uneven, all warmed by seasons past. Yet together, they form something elegant and unexpected. A low wall that curves softly around herbs, flowers, and fruit, like a gentle arm wrapping around something cherished. There is a quiet rhythm in this design. The bricks are arranged not just in lines, but in waves, zigzags, and soft arcs that invite the eyes to follow, to linger. Between their gaps, strawberries tumble gently downward, their scarlet fruit glowing in the sun. Lavender stands tall behind them, buzzing with bees, while calendula and pansies bloom brightly between the crevices, stitching color into every breath of the space. The beauty of this idea is in its balance, sturdy yet soft, structured yet wild. You don't need to lay foundations with cement or chase symmetry with a ruler. Just let your hands feel where each brick belongs. Allow space for life to emerge from the openings. Build the fence like you're building a poem. If your bricks are old and stained, all the better. Their history gives texture. Their weight grounds the space. And when you run your fingers along their rough sides, it feels like time itself is part of your garden. You can use this method to define borders, a herb spiral, a strawberry lane, or a raised bed for lettuces and thyme. The height doesn't matter. What matters is the feeling it gives, tidy yet wild, humble yet magical. And when you wake up to dew sparkling on violet petals, or reach down to pick a strawberry that grew from a crack in a wall you built yourself, you'll feel it. The connection. To the earth. To your work. To the peace that grows when we choose not to throw something away, but to turn it into beauty. This is not just a fence. It's a quiet celebration of reuse, of growing things, and of the timeless art of building with love. Four, whittled wood patch fence. Sometimes, the most enchanting beauty hides in the simplest things, in the broken, the aged, and the forgotten. Here, deep within the embrace of a soft green backyard, a fence rises not from sleek planks or factory polish, but from weathered wood once cast aside. Driftwood limbs, crooked beams, and hand-whittled branches now stand like sentinels of an ancient story, each one a character with grain lines like wrinkles and curves shaped not by machines, but by wind, time, and touch. This is the whittled wood patch fence, a quiet masterpiece born from wood scraps, reshaped into wonder. The arrangement is deliberate in its wildness. Some posts stand tall and proud, others lean into each other like whispers shared under the forest canopy. A few are lightly carved, bearing gentle grooves or subtle spirals, as if the forest itself left its mark before the wood found its new home. And between the uneven posts, life returns. Scarlet red marigolds and delicate calendula bloom freely. Strawberry vines sneak out playfully, their green runners winding between the gaps. Spinach and mint cluster at the base like a woodland offering. There's a sense of sacred order in the chaos, as if this patchwork fence wasn't built, but grown. Sunlight filters through the trees, painting shifting patterns across the garden bed. A breeze carries the soft scent of thyme and damp bark. And in that moment, with birds chirping overhead and moss hugging the shaded posts, this doesn't feel like just a backyard. It feels like the border to a fairyland, a secret threshold only nature and the truly curious can find. This design isn't just whimsical, it's practical. The materials are free. The process is forgiving. And every imperfection adds charm. Want to try it? Start by gathering old branches, mismatched logs, or worn fence scraps. Don't sand them too much, let the story in their surface shine. Anchor them into the soil at playful angles, and let your plants do the rest. This fence invites nature to reclaim it, rather than hold it back. It may not look perfect in the beginning, but give it time. With each season, your garden will breathe into it, weaving vines, moss, and magic into every crack and curve. So before you throw that old plank away, imagine it not as trash, but as a tale waiting to be told. A crooked post in your very own European fairy tale. Let your fence speak not of boundaries, but of beauty, rebirth, and stories whispered between the trees. Five, bamboo rope weave screen. In a quiet corner of an enchanted backyard, where soft sunlight dances across the dew-laced leaves, something magical rises, not from grand architecture or designer plans, but from the forgotten. Bamboo poles once left idle, and ropes once frayed by the years, now come together like old friends reunited. They twist and turn into a garden fence so gentle, so alive, it might as well have grown from the earth itself. The bamboo rope weave screen is more than just a fence. It's a story told through natural lines, a tale of renewal, of softness, of patient craft. Thin bamboo rods, harvested from past seasons, are hand-woven with thick ropes made of coconut fiber or jute. These materials, often discarded, find new purpose here, not in rigid perfection, but in gentle curves and knotted rhythms that feel as though the wind itself shaped them. As your fingers guide the rope between each slender beam, you begin to realize something. This isn't just construction. This is poetry in motion. A living curtain that breathes with the garden. Between the openings of the weave, life emerges, sweet peas in soft violet, cherry tomatoes like ruby lanterns, and the climbing tendrils of morning glories swaying in the breeze. This type of fence doesn't shut things out. It welcomes them in, light, wind, whispers from nature. Its flexible form creates movement, catching the sun in different angles throughout the day. In the early morning, droplets of dew cling to the fibers. By afternoon, the shadows it casts shimmer gently across the grass like ripples on water. And perhaps the most beautiful part? It's all entirely doable with your own hands. No power tools. No complex carpentry. Just patience, rhythm, and intention. The bamboo can be scavenged or purchased secondhand, and the rope, whether hemp, coir, or jute, ties it all together, both literally and spiritually. You can make the weave tight and structured, or let it undulate like a tapestry hung by forest folk in the south of France. This fence is more than function. It's an invitation to let nature in, to slow down, to remember that elegance can be born from simplicity. That charm doesn't have to come from cost, it can come from care. So if you find old bamboo lying around, don't throw it away. If you see a coil of rope waiting for use, imagine. Imagine not just what you can build, but what you can awaken. Because in the heart of every backyard lies a fairy tale waiting to be told, and sometimes, all it takes is a bit of rope, some old bamboo, and a dream to bring it to life. Six, bottle spiral bloom fence. In the gentle hush of a sunlit garden, where time seems to slow and the scent of wild herbs floats through the air, something magical quietly grows, not from seeds or soil alone, but from the hands and heart of someone who refused to throw beauty away. What once held wine, soda, or vinegar, bottles of forgotten purpose, are now standing proud in gentle spirals across a lush green path. They're no longer trash. They are sculptures, guardians of strawberries, companions to pansies, sparkling towers that dance with light like stained glass cathedrals, each one humming softly with the joy of rebirth. The fence doesn't march in straight lines here. It swirls, curving in soft helixes and spirals, guiding the eye and the soul around each blooming twist. Some bottles point up to the sky, catching the sunlight and scattering it like fairy dust across the garden floor. Others cradle edible blossoms or cradle creeping vines as they tumble down with joy. Between the bottles, strawberries ripen, their red cheeks peeking out shyly beneath leaves. Nasturtiums trail like lazy whispers across the glass, while the bright faces of pansies smile up to passing bees. Every corner of this garden feels like a secret place found in the pages of an old storybook, something half-remembered from a summer spent in the countryside of Bavaria or in the quiet orchards of Provence. What's most inspiring, perhaps, is how simple this magic is to create. It doesn't take wealth. It doesn't even require perfection. Just a collection of bottles, glass or plastic, saved from the bin, rinsed and stacked with care. Spiraled into the soil like nature's own sculptures. Some gardeners bury them neck down for neat edging. Others tilt and layer them, mimicking the growth of trees. Add herbs, ground cover, berries, or even trailing vegetables, and suddenly, your trash has become treasure. And this treasure? It lasts. It glows. It feeds. It invites. It's proof that the most enchanting gardens aren't always born from shopping trips or garden catalogs. Sometimes, they bloom from what we almost threw away, and from the quiet decision to build beauty with our own two hands. So the next time you hold a bottle, pause. Don't toss it. See it for what it could be, a glimmering brick in your next magical garden fence, a whisper of fairy tales waiting to come alive. Because in this world of excess, maybe the real luxury is knowing how to turn less into more. Seven, shell mosaic garden fence. In a quiet garden kissed by morning sun, The fence does not merely divide, it dazzles. At first glance, it's a boundary wall. But move closer, and you'll find a shimmering tapestry made of shells, each one salvaged from nature's forgotten edges. Clamshells, snail spirals, pieces of mother-of-pearl, all lovingly arranged into swirling mosaics that dance across the surface like waves in the sea. Some fences resemble storybook maps, others bloom with petals crafted from the ocean's own palette. The first image feels like a whispered lullaby from a seaside village. Tiny white and blush-toned shells spiral in hypnotic symmetry. Strawberries peek out from below, and lavender sways gently nearby, releasing its calming scent into the warm morning air. Butterflies linger longer here, as if they too are entranced by the radiance on the wall. It doesn't feel handmade. It feels born from the earth. In another garden, shell-embedded panels line up like chapters in a storybook, each panel flowing into the next, drawing waves, petals, and silent breezes into stone. Sunlight plays tricks on the surface, glinting off shell ridges, turning every step beside the fence into a walk along the French Riviera. Even the air seems slower here, gentler. And then comes a curved wall, the kind you only see in dreams. Blue and ivory tiles meet seashell constellations, starfish forms, and clusters of barnacle-like textures. One might think it was built by a castaway-turned artist who fell in love with a secret garden. Below, thyme and chamomile flourish. Strawberries trail across mossy paths. The fence doesn't just hold the garden, it completes it. What's truly magical is that this beauty doesn't require an expensive budget, only time, care, and a vision. Broken tiles, weathered shells, scraps of cement board or repurposed wood panels, all can become a mosaic canvas. Use strong outdoor glue or mortar and seal everything properly once dry. Think in curves and waves, not in lines, for the sea never moves in straight paths. Let your garden fence become a reflection of stories you've loved, beaches you've walked, or seashells you've kept in a jar for too long. Let it glisten in the sun, hum in the wind, and remind you, every day, that what was once discarded can be made magical again. Here, trash becomes treasure. And your garden? A fairy tale you built with your own hands. Eight. Rust frame iron garden fence. Beneath the soft amber glow of a setting sun, something magical unfolds, not in a grand palace or a royal courtyard, but in a modest garden stitched together from time-worn iron. Rusty gates, forgotten window frames, and crooked bed rails, once discarded, now reborn, rise like skeletal sculptures, delicately holding hands to form a fence. There's no perfection here. No symmetry. No pristine polish. And that's precisely the point. This garden fence, formed from a patchwork of rusted iron relics, stands as a poetic rebellion against waste. Each piece bears the marks of memory, the curve of a wrought iron headboard, the grating of an old trellis, and together they become something far more meaningful than their parts. Vines respond to this call from the past. They climb, they spiral, they embrace the frames with gentle persistence. Tendrils of wild grape and heirloom beans twist skyward. Clusters of cherry tomatoes blush beneath the crossbars. From iron hooks dangle hanging pots overflowing with strawberries, lemon balm, and flowering thyme. The garden breathes. It hums with bees and flutters with butterflies. The rust, far from being decay, becomes a backdrop of warmth, deep ochre and orange, glowing like aged copper in the light. The texture is rough but intimate, like the hand of a grandfather who once built things by touch, not blueprint. And for those who pass by and whisper, "Wasn't that just junk?" The answer lies in the herbs swaying gently in the breeze, in the laughter of a child tracing the fence with her fingertips, in the way this wall does not separate but invite. Because this isn't merely a fence. It's a song of resilience. You can make one too, with the old gate you've been meaning to throw out, the broken bed frame leaning against your shed, the steel grid you salvaged from your uncle's workshop. Don't paint it. Don't hide the rust. Let it show. Let it glow. Arrange the pieces like a puzzle only your heart knows how to solve. Let plants be your ink, and the fence your parchment. Watch how nature softens iron. How morning dew kisses steel. How something once forgotten becomes the frame for life itself. In a world obsessed with the new, this garden whispers a secret, that beauty grows when we give the old a second chance. Nine, suitcase planter panel fence. In a quiet corner of the countryside, where ivy gently hugs old wooden fences and the air smells faintly of time and sunshine, a new kind of garden quietly takes root. But not in pots. Not in beds. Not in anything you'd expect. Here, stories bloom from vintage suitcases. Yes, old suitcases. Those once carried companions of forgotten journeys now reopened, repurposed, and reborn as miniature gardens clinging like memories to the walls of a rustic fence. Each suitcase holds a story and a garden. Cracked leather handles, floral linings faded by time, brass latches left permanently ajar, they all cradle life in the form of herbs, strawberries, edible flowers, and trailing vines. Where clothes once lay folded, now mint bursts into wild dance. Where shoes once rested, now lavender leans in with gentle fragrance. And in the compartments of travel, strawberries glisten red with sunlight. The magic lies not just in what you see, but in what you feel, the merging of past and present. Of old travel dreams and rooted, growing things. And you can make this, too. Find an old suitcase, maybe one tucked in your attic, or a thrift gem full of charm. Line the inside with landscape fabric or burlap. Fill with rich, organic soil. Choose plants that cascade, bloom, or offer harvests. Thyme, basil, violas, marigolds, even sweet strawberries. Mount them on your garden fence, like hanging drawers of nature. Let the handles swing gently in the breeze. Let the butterflies find their way home. This isn't just gardening. It's storytelling with roots and leaves. It's art made from what others throw away. It's a quiet revolution blooming from leather, linen, and soil. So next time you see an old suitcase, don't toss it. Open it. Plant something. And let your fence become a living page in your garden's fairy tale. Ten, Goni rustic layer fence. There's something utterly enchanting about a fence that doesn't just mark the edge of a garden, but becomes the soul of it. Here, instead of pristine white pickets or cold iron bars, we're greeted by a patchwork of old burlap sacks, once used for rice or coffee beans, now gently stretched along a wooden frame. Their fibers are sun-warmed and soft to the touch, whispering stories of harvests past. Interwoven rattan branches wind around like forest vines, giving this fence both structure and spirit, like a woven basket unfolding under the sky. But the true magic begins with what hangs from this humble wall. A row of tiny metal buckets dangle from jute twine, each hosting a lush bounty: basil, parsley, coriander. Their leaves spill over like cascading green waterfalls. Among them, wooden cutting boards, softly worn with age, now cradle strawberry vines that dangle their ruby fruits with pride. It's as if a countryside kitchen decided to step outside and live among the bees and butterflies. In another corner, you'll find a colander reborn as a herb planter, mint leaves thriving within its holes, soaking in the afternoon sun. Wooden ladles become whimsical cradles for thyme and oregano. Tin cans, once forgotten in the recycling bin, now shimmer with life, holding cheerful pansies, nasturtiums, and tiny white daisies. The whole scene evokes a gentle nostalgia, like stepping into a garden in southern France, where time slows and every object has purpose again. The genius lies not just in the aesthetic, but in its practicality. This is a vertical garden anyone can make, with little more than burlap, old kitchen tools, and a few good herbs. It's perfect for small patios, side yards, or even balconies where space is scarce but sunlight is generous. And it doesn't have to be perfect. The charm blooms from imperfection, from the mismatched boards, the rusty ladle, the twine that frays ever so slightly in the breeze. This is not a garden built for show, but for life. A living wall where flavor, fragrance, and beauty thrive side by side. So if you have an old sack, a spare colander, or a cutting board you thought was too worn to use, think again. Here, in this rustic fence of stories and herbs, nothing goes to waste. Every scrap becomes a brushstroke in a countryside painting, quiet, fragrant, and alive. Welcome to a garden where the past is honored, the present is flavorful, and the future is deliciously green. So, what do you see now when you look at an old bucket or a broken drawer? We hope this video has sparked your imagination, and maybe even changed how you see your own trash. If you love these magical garden fence ideas, give this video a like, share it with your DIY-loving friends, and subscribe to Backyard Fortune for more whimsical, practical, and planet-friendly inspiration. Let's build beauty, one recycled piece at a time.